Hello, everybody. This is Nerd Zombie Goddess, and we are back for part 5, I believe, of our cozy little mushroom we were drawing with Derwent Drawing pencils. We're so close to being done, so I wanted to jump right in and start getting to work here. I've been sick, really sick, so I had a cold and now I don't know, it won't go away or it's turned into a sinus infection or something like that. So I'm probably going to have to make an appointment with my doctor because I'm just not feeling great and it's been way too long. But anyway, hopefully I can get in, call my doctor tomorrow because I didn't have time today. So what I decided was I don't like this background. So I'm going to go in and add some greens and yellows to try to unify this a little bit, pull the piece together, because right now it's just like boom background and boom mushroom, and I don't like that. So yeah, we're just gonna play. I thought about erasing the background. I'm not gonna do that. So, this might not turn out, but that's fine. I'm experimenting. I'm not happy with it, so I figure I'll try to do a little bit of triage on it and see what I can do. It's not horrible. I just need to bring in some of these colors, which you can see already. I feel like it's already going to pull the piece together. I'm not going to worry about it too much because I'm not going to get too wrapped up in not being happy with it. For the most part, I like it. And I don't really want to spend a whole lot of more time on it, just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking it, erasing and all that stuff, because it's a learning thing. And at some point, you just got to say, it's time to move on. And we're going to get to that point. So, and I'm already itching to start something else. I get to that point. I don't know if anybody else has that, but I do get to a point in my paintings where I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm ready to be done with it. So I can go on to something else. There's nothing wrong with that. I get other ideas in my head about things I want to do, and then I get anxious about starting it, and should say more excited, not anxious to start it. I get a little anxious about trying to hurry and get this one done, but I don't think we have to hurry. So I was doing really good uploading videos and all that stuff before I got sick. Now it's been like since last Friday since I uploaded, but that's all right. So I took some cold medicine, said I'm going to go down and I'm going to film this because I've been wanting to work on this for a couple days. I was just so wiped out the past couple of days. I couldn't do it, but that happens. I still did art. I'm proud of myself. I still did art. I was sitting up on the couch, working with acrylic markers and graphite and stuff like that, just playing, which I tend to do anyway. I have a spot on the couch where I sit in the mornings. As I said before, I like to get up at 5 or 6 o'clock. And then I'll just do some art before work because that's when I feel most refreshed from sleep and have probably the most energy, at least after a cup of coffee. So I'm just adding some of this moss green in the background, and it's just going to pull some of the greens in this. It's going to unify the picture, basically. And you want your pictures to be unified. You want the background and the foreground to go together cohesively, usually, unless you're doing a special piece of artwork where you don't want that. But in general, it already looks better. So I'm not 100% happy. I kind of wish I would have done like a blurry background or something on it, but with some maybe tree shapes or grass, but that's okay. I didn't want to take too much time on this. I feel like I've already spent so much time, and these tutorials are so long because I work slow, and I'm sure they'll get faster. And I'm getting better at the editing and that kind of stuff. So I can still keep some of these in real time, but edit down, you know, the dead air and stuff like that, and it won't be so bad, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it looks better already. My first problem was with this paper that I'm just not used to this paper. I can't say it's bad paper because it's not. It's nice paper, but I'm not used to working on it, and I did eat up the tooth of the paper faster than I wanted to, and faster than, like, say, on my hot press watercolor paper. Can't talk today. Um, but that's okay. That's, you know, you don't know that unless you do it. So I'm okay with that process. I think that the Gamsol left this weird little mark here, like a halo around it, and I can't get rid of it. So, like, you know what? It's probably going to stay at this point. So, I'm trying to decide if I want to put in some yellows, maybe, just to make, again, just to unify a little bit of this. We could put some more blue back in also. It really does help draw your eyes more nicely across the page. Hopefully you guys can see that it does help. It was just a quick fix. I don't know what this crap is that me and my husband got, but it's nasty. I mean, it wasn't COVID or the flu because I took a couple tests. It had to have been just a cold, but I was feeling better. And then Tuesday I went to work and I can't get rid of this. It's really annoying. Um, I started feeling really bad by about lunchtime. Like, I started feeling like I was getting sick again. I was nauseous. My chest feels funny, like I need to cough, but I'm not really coughing, and I have congestion, but it's not anything crazy. Like I said, I'm not coughing, so I don't think it's like bronchitis or pneumonia or something like that awful. But uh it's probably just a sinus infection, and I'm just gonna probably have to go get antibiotics. And I hate taking antibiotics. They mess your stomach up, and I was trying to make sure, you know, I needed antibiotics before I called the doctor, but it's going on a good 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks Friday that I've been sick. So I've still got a really bad headache, like in my top of my head. So, oh well, I'll be all right. Just, that's why you haven't seen me as much the past few days. I haven't posted as much. I knew I was getting sick, so I tried to put, you know, a couple videos out, which I did last week, to try to make up for it because I knew I probably was going to feel rotten. But you got to take care of yourself. So, how's everybody else's mushrooms looking? Are you guys? I hope there is. Some people said they were going to work along with me, and I hope they're still doing so because I think that's really cool. And I like to do that. And I'm actually going to start doing that again with gouache, I think, because I want to get back into my gouache. And I got to ease myself back into it. So I might do like a tutorial with somebody just to ease myself back. I think that's looking better. It's not great, but it's better. So I'll be pretty happy with it. Just adding a little more of that yellow in here. I can also start, I didn't do it with this one because when I started this series, I didn't know how to link the reference photos in my video. Now I know how to do that. So in future videos, it'll be nice because I'll be able to show you the reference that I'm using. I'll put a little blue. I'll bring a little of this blue back down in here. I really do like drawing with colored pencils. Something about them. They're just they're beautiful when you know how to do it correctly, which I don't 100% know how to do it correctly yet, but I'm learning. I'm getting there. I just started colored pencils like this, like within the past 2 years. I had only done them a little bit in the past, and I was kind of turned off by them because I think I may have said this before, but when I went to art school, they didn't really tell me like, oh, those pencils you're using, those are terrible pencils. Um, I had some of the Prang, I think they're called pencils. They're like, they're not great. And I think I had, there's another brand I can't think of right now that was like another cheap brand. I didn't know, the difference. They just said, get some colored pencils, and that's what I got. And they weren't the greatest. So, I was like, these are awful. There's not, a lot of pigment. And I didn't know about the paper because nobody bothered to tell you that either when you were, or at least when I was in school. Like, hey, you should probably use this type of paper because it works better with the colored pencils, and nobody ever educated me with that. Their thing mostly was painting, like with acrylics and life drawing classes, of course. I'm trying to think of the classes I had. Art, of course, art. I had a bunch of painting classes. I'm thinking, I don't even remember what classes I had now. I think I had some graphic design classes, and I think I had an airbrush course. I had illustration courses, but those were just kind of using whatever you wanted. Again, I think I used some colored pencils in that class, and then I was like, these are awful. So I thought it was the pencils, but it's not. And when I started watching YouTube, I saw a couple people, doing colored pencils. It's like, wow, look how nice their stuff looks. And I couldn't figure out why. I'm just adding a little bit of some texture in here so these don't look like little round balls so much. But anyway, I took the person's advice who I was watching, and I bought the paper and the colored pencils that they recommended. And then I was like, holy cow, I started doing some colored pencil stuff, and I was blown away. How nice they are. But you got to have the right materials. So, if you think you suck, it doesn't mean you suck. It could be the materials. So pay attention to what you're using and do a little research, because you might be surprised, like I was pleasantly, that okay, I don't suck at them. These are terrible, and I should buy better quality. Now I have found some cheaper ones that work pretty good, and I was actually blown away by it. I should probably do a video on that sometime. But I bought some of those colored pencils, and those things surprised me about how well I don't know, they behave very nicely for cheap pencils. And then I also bought a set of the Woomer, I think they're called. And those are really nice. But I saw some other artists talking about cheap alternatives that are actually good, and those two came up. But for the most part, it's, the Derwent Drawing pencils, the Derwent Lightfast, the Faber-Castell Polychromos, and the Caran d'Ache Luminance are top tier for me. And those are the ones I really enjoy, depending on what I'm doing. But there's nothing wrong with trying other brands. But for the most part, if you buy a cheaper pencil, after using these, you're going to be disappointed. It's just the way it is. And that doesn't mean I'm crapping on people that use, you know, cheaper supplies. You know, if that's what you got, that's what you got. Use them. Like I said, I have a couple that are cheap, and they're really, if you get the right brands, they're not bad. So keep that in mind. You can do a little research. There's plenty of people out there that do videos comparing, you know, the cheap and the expensive ones and which one's the best cheap brand and that kind of thing. I'm just kind of pulling some of these lines out a little bit that we lost. Luckily, I can put a little bit of this pigment back down on the paper, even though we've lost a lot of the tooth. Another reason to keep your pencil sharp. Just bringing out some of this definition a little bit better that we lost in here. Kind of turned into a blob, a brown gray blob, which I'm not too excited about. But overall, this isn't a bad piece. This is the first colored pencil piece I've done in a while again. I kind of got out of it again. I did a few and then I went on to gouache and some other things, which is, you know, I do that. So expect that on my channel. I get a bug and I'm like, oh, you know what I want to fit, what I feel like doing? Just like I'm doing acrylic markers upstairs, just out of the blue. I was like, I want to sketch with some of my acrylic markers. And they look nice sometimes if you can figure them out. So I'm pretty happy with them most of the time. And they don't make a mess. It's something I can, you know, keep upstairs. I don't have to worry about getting water, you know, and all that stuff to use them. So I'll be excited to move on to something new. I'm just adding some details in here. A lot of this stuff has softened up with the use of the solvent. So I'm just redefining some of these edges a little bit. Nothing crazy, but just making sure the edges are that we lost are coming back a little bit. Soften that just a touch. Basically, we're just putting, I need to finish this grass down here that I erased away the last session because I didn't like the way it was heading up into the mushroom. I lost a lot of the highlights, so I wanted to get those back. So I'm just putting in these little strokes so that it looks a little more organic, grass-like, moss-like. I'm so excited that people are actually subscribing to my channel and leaving comments. It makes me so happy. I hope we get more of that. I hope my content gets better where I can attract more people, or the people that I do have, you know, watch more of my videos and enjoy them. I know right now, you know, I'm an amateur with the YouTube, but that's fine. You got to start somewhere. But I do appreciate everybody that's given me a chance. It means a lot to me. And anybody that leaves a comment or likes a video, that really means the world to me. I never thought, you know, like I said, 10 people would watch a video of mine, let alone hundreds now. Actually, thousands with my little YouTube shorts. I started uploading some shorts, and I got quite a few views on those too. Some of my videos don't do so well, but that's all right. I'm learning. got to learn what people want to see and what they don't. It's part of the process, so I'm not too upset about it. Oh, I forgot. I hope you all have your pad of paper. I've been trying to say this at the beginning and I spaced out and forgot. So if you don't have your paper and your pencils, pause it and go grab them. I'll be here. Come back and help, or help. Come back and work on your mushroom with me. It's a lot more fun to draw with somebody. I don't know why it is, but it is. Even my grandson thinks so because he's always bringing me crayons to color with him. He likes it too. He wants to share that experience. It's kind of fun. So this is looking better. At least I think it is. Just adding some details. Just short little strokes in here, getting a little bit of definition. I'm not going to do it too much around the outside here. I'm just going to kind of leave this more in shadow. And I'll darken it up just a touch. There's like some weird scratches in this paper too. I think it's what I don't like about it. I think it's great for graphite. It's going to be great for graphite. But for some reason, the texture is, there's random like lines. And the paper isn't scratched. But once you put the pigment down, I can really see like these lines, white lines on the paper, and they kind of go in this direction. And I'm sure it's the sizing or whatever it's called on the paper. But it's so bizarre that it's like that. I've never seen that texture like that. Usually you have like little, little hexagons or little circles. But this one's got just straight up weird, random, and they're random. They're not in any kind of, uniformity on the paper. I can't figure out what it is. It's just something, the way the paper's made. But it's beautiful paper, and I'm sure for graphite, that's what I'm going to use it for. But this was an experiment because I was curious how it would hold up with colored pencils. And it does hold up well. I don't like that texture, though. And that's just my taste. There might be other people that love it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's everybody's preference. Just trying to break up some of this, some of these clumps back here so they don't look like little round lumps. I want them to look a little more organic. You guys have to let me know in the comments if you finished your mushroom with me and how you think it turned out, how yours turned out, what you could work on, or if you have any questions. I'm all for it. I'm all here for it. Trying to get a little bit of this definition back. I really screwed up right here with the putting too much pigment down on the paper, and it's not great. So I'm trying to do a little bit of repair work here as much as possible, but it's, you can only do so much. This is definitely doesn't look like my reference here. But that's okay. I change my references all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes, things just don't look the way you want them to, and you got to go in and play a little bit, try to fix what you don't like without destroying your artwork. That's the important thing. You don't want to overwork your artwork to the point where you ruin it that way either. So it's helping a little bit. It's bringing some of this definition back. But it's a learning process. If I ever used this paper again, I know not to be so heavy-handed with the solvent and the pencil here. I just went a little bit overboard. And now it's smashed the tooth of the paper down, and pigment just does not want to go down there anymore. And I may have even, you know, kind of ruined the paper itself. But that's okay. Like I said, that's how you learn. Don't beat yourself up for mistakes. It's very important. You know, it's a learning process. You know, I don't want people quitting. I'm not quitting. I'm not going to quit. Even though I'm not happy with some of this, I'm not going to quit. Because overall, you know, it's decent. And I did learn some things with it. So that's what you got to remember. And I'm enjoying the process. So now if I was miserable and I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, you know, that's a whole other thing. But you got to just relax and have a little fun with it. Well, it's definitely looking better. And I'm probably going to bring a little bit of that blue back into the background. And maybe even up here just a touch on some of these. I got to be really careful with this because I don't want it to get overpowered. Or overpowering, I should say. Just a little bit. I'm lightly touching. This is another spot that I kind of screwed up on right here. So I'm trying to, it's doing the same thing it's doing in down here where I was a little heavy-handed with the colored pencil and the solvent and maybe even the eraser. It's a learning experience though. Hopefully you guys can't hear my stomach. My stomach is making some crazy sounds. But I'm not feeling great. So I definitely still have something going on. Something. Hopefully, like I said, I can get hold of my doctor tomorrow. We're almost done, guys. This is the finish line. We can see it. We can see the finish line. Just lightly adding some of this blue to give, you know, the roundness of the mushroom, the illusion of roundness on this mushroom. The nice thing is once I have this done, I can combine all 5 parts and I can chop them up, speed it up, and make another video that's a shorter video that maybe other people might want to see that aren't interested in the long tutorials. And that's probably what I'm going to do from now on. I'll have both the long form and then condense it down to a shorter video that people might want to watch that don't have the time or they're not drawing along, you know, they might just want to watch, you know, a nice little relaxing video. There's nothing wrong with that. I do that too sometimes. I like to watch those ones where they clean their gouache, the Hemi gouache, and I might have to do that with mine. Maybe I should make a video because mine's been sitting for a good 6 months now, and I opened it last time I was down here, I think Friday or somewhere around there, and it was looking pretty sad. So I sprayed some of the gouache spray in there to make sure it doesn't get mold, but it was half dried out and just sad and crusty looking. So it probably needs a refresher. Yeah, this is definitely looking better. I hope you guys can see on the camera. It helped to get away from it for a little bit, like I was telling you. That's always something you should do. Get away from it, you know, after you've been working on it for a while. Put it away and don't look at it for a day or two. And then come back and take a look at it, and you'll see it with fresh eyes. And sometimes you'll see stuff wrong that you can add or you know, make things better. And it'll look better to you once you get away from it. I don't know what it is. I don't know why our brains do that. But after I stare at something too long, I got to get away from it, and it'll look terrible to me. And then I'll come back, and then I'm like, oh, no, it's not terrible. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I've always done that. And I have always, at our school, that's what they always said, was to put it away, and then come back and try to do your finishing touches. And that's what we're doing. So it does help. It gives you like a fresh perspective. It's kind of funny. Just tightening up some of these spots that have gotten fuzzy. And then I'm going to give this another light coat for the shadow, because the shadow is cool. So we want to make sure this little area here is also cooler. And we could do that by lightly just adding a layer of blue back over. It's looking pretty good, guys. Go back down here and add a little bit more of this to fix some of that area I erased. Hopefully somebody that's never seen this will never know what I did there. These pencils really are beautiful. I highly recommend them. They're so creamy and pigmented, and I love the light fast pencils of Derwent's, but a lot of their other colored pencils I'm not crazy about. I have a lot of them, like the Pro Colors and the Chroma Flows and all those, and I'm really not. Color Soft, I think, is the other one I have. They're not really that impressive. I mean, they're okay. Don't get me wrong. They're still good pencils, but compared to like these and the Light Fast and the way they feel, and then of course the other brands, the Polychromos and Caran d'Ache Luminance, the other Derwent pencils just pale in comparison. They don't feel as nice. They don't. They feel cheap in your hand. I'm not crazy about that. I'm not sure. These are hefty. They're thick. Um, they feel like a luxury pencil, if that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm trying to decide if I want to put a little bit of this green back up in here, but we're really starting to get, yeah, the color just doesn't want to go down anymore. And that's the other reason we're going to have to just call it quits here shortly with it. Thinking what else I could add to it. I'll add some more of this down here so these don't look like white clumps. I hope everybody that is joining and drawing along is enjoying it. And if I get, enough followers or people that would be interested, I would even like to do some live streams where we do this live. I think it'd be fun. And then I could talk to some people, people could ask questions. I don't know everything, but I got some information rolling around in my brain. Some knowledge of art and colored pencils and paper and other things. Yeah, this is looking better. That looks a lot better, actually. Looks more soft and fluffy like a moss or something would. I guess this is it. This is the one I want, I guess. Just adding a little bit more back in now that we've added some green. Just giving this some dark areas. I'm going to try to work it around here to see if I can fix some of this, camouflage this a little bit. So probably, I have a feeling, well, we'll see. I might change my mind because it just depends on my mood. But I definitely am going to do another piece with pastels for my coworker who lost her horse. And I'm really getting that itch to do gouache again. So I have a feeling there's going to be some gouache videos too. I really enjoy the gouache. I just taught myself gouache this past year. And I'm still not, great at it, but I really enjoy it and I enjoy the colors. They're so pretty. Some of the artists on YouTube are just so talented that I've seen with the gouache, with any of these mediums actually, the colored pencils, the gouache, there's so many talented people. Hopefully you guys learned something from drawing your mushroom. I definitely did. I made some mistakes and learned from them, at least with this paper. It's always a learning process. Again, if you made mistakes, and there's parts you're not happy with, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up for it. You just move on to the next piece, finish it, and move on to the next piece, and take what you learned. It's the best thing to do. Don't beat yourself up. Don't think you're worthless. Don't, or not talented. It's not true. It's just a learning process. I've made several mistakes on this piece. It's okay, you know. This isn't really what I would consider a full finished piece like I would normally do, like the horse and the cat that I showed in my video where I showed the work I've done recently. Um, this was more of like what a sketchbook, was for. I experimented with some new paper. Found out I didn't like that paper with color pencils. Just adding gradual layers, just layering, layering, layering. And I did cover up a lot of that nasty stuff. There's still some I can see, but it's not quite as harsh as it was. I'm not sure why it did that because there's nothing on the other side of the paper. It didn't seep through. So I'm not sure. The solvent, it's not made for solvent. You know, I knew that. This kind of paper. It's best to use watercolor paper if you're going to do that. Something, or mixed media, something that can handle the scrubbing. And even the mixed media paper, I don't really like. I don't think it's sturdy enough for what I like to do. I like to abuse the paper. I found the Arches and the Fabriano hot pressed watercolor paper works best for me anyway. Now I think that Artigen or something, I think that's what it's called. I did the cat on that one, and that paper wasn't bad, but I think I had problems on it too, where the tooth just disappeared on the paper. It doesn't have as much texture as the watercolor papers. And I think I vaguely remember having a similar, it wasn't this bad of what's going on here, but it definitely was an issue I remember having, because I was like, oh no, I can't put any more color down. Now what am I going to do? And I think I erased some and used some solvent and was able to get enough tooth back on the paper to fix what I wanted to fix, and I don't even see it now when I look at it. So hopefully this will be the same way. I have a feeling that this one I'm going to see forever because I can't cover this up. There's very much I can do about it. This is definitely looking better though. I'm much happier with it than I was when we started. The background, I mean. I just went into the background wrong. Sometimes it's fun not to plan and just kind of see what happens, and that's kind of what I did. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. Sometimes it's good to plan a little more. For the more finished paintings, like the ones that I could display, those I definitely use better paper, better pencils, take my time, don't experiment so much on those. Might add a little more green back in there. Actually, I might put some of this dark green in. I want the background to be darker than the foreground, but I didn't want it just that flat blue. Didn't look right, so that's why I wanted to go in and add some other colors so we could get some more, what's the word, depth in the background. This is just a dark green, basically. Rainforest is the color. And I'm just going in and darkening some of these areas that were lightened up and putting that green color in there so it stands out a little more. Then you have a nice, like some blue greens back here. And if you really wanted to, you could go in with solvent, and it would probably look amazing when this was activated with these greens in here, but I'm not sure. I don't think I want to do that. So I'm just kind of ready to be done with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We've been working on it a while. It's been like 5 hours. So 5 hours to draw this. That's how slow I am. When I put it into perspective like that, I realize how slow I am. But you don't have to rush. Nobody says you have to rush. It's an enjoyable process. And if I rush, I can tell, and then I'm not happy. Because it typically doesn't look as good. The stuff that I really take my time on, you can tell. Again, just kind of bringing the darkness in around so that your eye goes here more, if that makes sense, hopefully. It's been hard trying to narrow down what I want to do on YouTube too. Do I want to stick to just doing paintings and stuff, or do I want to do more tutorials? YouTube really wants you to stay in a certain area, you know, and define that area. And it's hard because I really like doing all kinds of stuff with art. Yeah, this green, it helped out a lot. Mm, I'm not drawing off camera. I did one of my videos. I felt horrible because I didn't see it. There was nothing I could do about it by that point because the video was made. It happens sometimes. It's real easy just to move your page down and not realize you're not on camera anymore. There's not much you can do about it. Well, guys, I really don't like this area, but it looks better than what it did, so. There we go. Just wanted to, I don't want to take all of it off. Very gently put some highlights back in that we've lost. I don't want to do too much. Now, these gel pens aren't archival. So if you're going to use them, make sure it's in a sketchbook or something that's not going to be, you know, out in the sun, you know, on something that's hanging on the wall, or because it will fade and just disappear. If I was using this on a piece I was going to give to somebody, well, I wouldn't use this. I would use something archival. Just pulling this out a little tiny bit so that it pops out from the stem a little more. There's some highlights in here. Don't know if this is gonna, okay, there it goes. I didn't know if it was gonna go over the colored pencil or not. Now again, you know, if you plan right and pay attention, you can keep this area white as you're working, and then you don't have to do this if you can keep your highlights. But I have such a hard time with that. I'm so bad about losing the areas that I try to reserve the highlights for. This edge is really light. Just gives it a little more definition, 3D looking. I don't want to get too carried away with it. I have a tendency to get carried away with things. I get into these details. I love doing details. I don't know if anybody else is that way. Let me know in the comments if you love doing details or if you hate it. I could lose myself in details. I don't know what it is. The other thing is we can go back over this with a colored pencil if it's standing out too much, which I may do also. Or you can use your finger to kind of pull some of that back. I do appreciate anybody that has stuck around and is doing this with me. I think that's really super cool. And if you don't mind, just leave me a comment and tell me about it, because it's nice to hear. Just pulling some of the edge back out. And you may be asking why I'm not using white pencil to do this, but problem is when you use up all the tooth of the paper, then you can't put more color down on top of it, and I already know that white's not going to go down. But that's something I'm striving to get better at, so I'm trying to pay more and more attention to that. That looks a little better. I might use a little bit of this. I don't want to use a lot, but along this edge, just to highlight a couple. Just to pull it out a little bit more from the muddy mess I created here. Because I created a mess. Now what we can do with some of this, like I said, is go back over it with some colored pencil so that it's not white. Colored pencil's clogging the gel pen up. Just trying to get some of these edges that I lost. I'm just gonna go lightly back over this. some of that back. That way it's not so harsh. I'll do the same thing on the mushroom. Wait, you get highlights, but they're not, you know, super harsh. You can also go in with gouache or, you know, some acrylic paint or something like that if you want. There's all kinds of ways to get around this. Messing up. I'm really good at messing up the highlights and losing my highlights thing. That's why I'm kind of scared to do watercolor because of it. I really want to learn watercolor. At least with gouache, I know I can paint, you know, light over dark. So if I lose my highlights, it's okay because you're painting, you know, you're painting the dark first, dark colors, and then you paint a mid-tone over that, and then a light, you know, over that. So it's a lot easier for me to wrap my brain around that, and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the concept with the colored pencils and the watercolor that you can't do that. You got to preserve your whites. And I did, you know, I do have some masking fluid and stuff like that that I can try when I get brave. Again, I'm just pushing some of that back so there's not big white clumps. Just knocks it back just a touch so it's not so harsh. Time flies. I didn't realize we'd been on here this long already. That's why I like doing it. It's fun. It's just it's so relaxing, and before you know it, time has passed, and we're about done. Just pushing that back just a touch. It's got that nice big old highlight across the top. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think we're about done. I think we're about done. I think we're about done. We'll put a little bit more spots in here. Definition. Guess it's not hateful for a new pencil, new type or new kind of pencil, and new paper that I've never used before. think we're about done, guys. What do you think? All right. What do you guys think? Not too bad. Could be better, but it's not hateful. So let me get that lock off of there. And we can zoom in. Boy, the colors look so much darker on the camera. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I've done better and I've done worse. All in all, is not bad. So I hope you enjoy it or enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed doing your own mushroom, and I hope it turned out better than mine. No, really, it's not that bad. It was an experiment, and sometimes they don't go as well as you want. That's okay. But I hope yours turned out better. Hopefully you were using paper and pencils you were familiar with. So we'll take this as a learning experience, and just remember there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I'm sorry that I've been sick and not feeling the best. So I'll get over it, and the videos will keep coming, and I'll get better and better at them. And I appreciate those of you who have stuck with it and, you know, subscribed and liked and commented and all that stuff. I appreciate it. And if you do enjoy it, like the video, comment please. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye.